The first thing he sought was the ticket. One way, no return, 7 years old. It was folded at the bottom of the suitcase, under 2 shirts, a toothbrush, and a book he never finished. For a few seconds, he could not move, because he remembered that night, the quiet apartment, the clothes on the bed, the map on the floor, the sound of the zipper closing, and the strange relief he felt when he thought he was finally leaving. He had packed that suitcase for another life. A life where he did not keep explaining himself. A life where he did not stay small, just to keep everything familiar. But morning came, and he did not go. He put the suitcase in the back of the closet, still packed, still closed, still holding the life he almost chose. Then 1 year passed, then 3, then 7, and now, sitting on the closet floor, he understood why his hands felt cold. He had not been afraid of the suitcase. He had been afraid that the version of him inside it was still waiting to leave. He had avoided that closet for years. Not because it was messy, not really. Every home has a place like that. A shelf for things you do not use, but cannot throw away. Old shoes, winter coats, empty boxes, a broken lamp, a bag of cables, from devices that no longer exist. He opened the door that afternoon because one hanger had fallen and blocked it from closing. That was all. A small problem, a normal task. Fix the hanger, move a few things, close the door again. But when he bent down, he saw the handle. Brown leather cracked at the edges, half hidden behind a plastic bin. For a second, he did not understand what he was looking at. Then his body knew, before his mind did. The suitcase. He touched the handle and felt something old move through him. Not a memory yet, more like a warning. Because some things are not forgotten. They are only stored in places you stop opening. He pulled the suitcase out slowly. The wheels scraped against the closet floor. Dust lifted from the corners. For a moment, he just stared at it. It looked smaller than he remembered. Older, too. The leather was cracked. The handle was stiff. One metal latch had turned dark with age. He placed it in the middle of the bedroom nest and sat down in front of it. His hands rested on the top. He did not open it right away, because he already knew. This was not just luggage. It was a decision he had hidden from himself. He pressed one latch, then the other. The sound was small, dry, almost harmless. But his chest tightened anyway. The lid opened a few inches. A line of warm light crossed the floor, and inside, everything was still there. 2 folded shirts, a toothbrush, a paperback book, a folded map. And underneath it all, the ticket. One way, no return. That night came back slowly, not like a movie, more like pieces of a room returning one by one. The bed half covered with clothes, the closet door open, the map spread on the floor. A glass of water untouched on the nightstand. He remembered standing there, holding a shirt, unable to decide if it belonged in the suitcase or in the life he was leaving. Nothing terrible had happened that day. That was what made it harder to explain. No fight, no emergency, no final insult. Just another ordinary evening, inside a life that had become too small. He had answered emails, washed 1 plate, paid 1 bill, said, "Yeah, I'm fine," to someone on the phone. Then he had sat on the edge of the bed and felt the truth arrive quietly. If he stayed, nothing would explode, nothing would break, nothing would force him to move. And maybe that was exactly what scared him. Because some lives do not destroy you loudly. They just ask you to keep becoming smaller until you stop noticing. He picked up the ticket carefully. The paper felt thinner now, softer, almost fragile. The ink had faded, but the city name was still there. Portland. He stared at it. Portland. Not because it was magical, not because he had some perfect plan waiting there. He barely knew the place. That was why he had chosen it. A city far enough to become someone else, but not so far that it felt impossible. He remembered searching for rooms online, cheap ones, small ones, nothing beautiful, just a place with a door, a mattress, and no one asking him why he had changed. He had even written a note with the address of a coffee shop where he planned to sit the first morning. He imagined ordering black coffee, opening a notebook, watching strangers pass by without needing to explain his past to any of them. It was not a dream life. That was what hurt. It was small, ordinary, almost boring. But it had one thing his real life did not: space. Enough space to hear himself think. The next morning, he woke up before the alarm. The room was still dark. The suitcase stood by the door. Ready, closed, waiting. For a few seconds, he felt calm, not happy, not brave, just clear. He sat on the edge of the bed, put on his shoes, and looked at the ticket again. The bus left at 7:40. He had time. Then his phone buzzed. A message from work. Nothing urgent, just a question. Someone could have answered without him. Then another message. A reminder about a bill. Then a call from his mother, asking if he could stop by later that week. Small things, normal things, the kind of things that should not decide a life. But he looked at the suitcase, then at the phone, then at the quiet apartment, and felt the old fear return. What if leaving was selfish? What if he failed? What if he got there and was still the same man? So he told himself, not today, not never, just not today. He moved the suitcase back into the closet, still packed, and by 7:40 he was answering emails. For the first few weeks, he told himself he would unpack it soon. Not today, tomorrow, maybe Sunday, maybe when the apartment felt less heavy. But Sunday came, then another, then months. The suitcase stayed in the closet, behind shoes, boxes, and things he kept buying, to make the room feel more complete. Life continued. That was the cruel part. He went to work, bought groceries, changed passwords, renewed insurance, answered messages, smiled at people in elevators, said yes to things he did not want, said no to things he secretly needed. And every year, the suitcase moved farther back, not by itself, by him. A winter coat in front of it, a plastic bin beside it, old papers on top, as if hiding it better could make the choice disappear. But some choices do not vanish, they wait. Quietly, patiently, under dust, behind doors, inside rooms. You keep promising to clean someday. He moved the ticket aside. Under it, there was the paperback book. The cover was bent. The pages had turned yellow around the edges. A receipt was still inside, marking page 42. He opened it carefully. The receipt was from a small bookstore, 3 blocks from the bus station. He stared at the address, then remembered. That was supposed to be his first stop. Not a hotel, not a new job, not some dramatic beginning, just a bookstore. He had imagined walking in, with no one expecting him anywhere, buying one cheap book, sitting near the window, reading slowly, letting the morning pass, without apologizing for it. That memory hurt more than the ticket, because the ticket was about leaving, but the receipt, sir, was about arriving. It was proof that he had not only planned an escape, he had planned a life, a small one, quiet, ordinary, his. He looked at the book in his hands and realized he had spent 7 years of protecting a life. He never actually chose from a life. He never allowed himself to try. There was one pocket left, a small one inside the suitcase lining. He almost missed it. The zipper was stuck at first, then it opened, with a dry sound. Inside, there was a folded note. No envelope, no date. Just one piece of paper, creased down the middle. He unfolded it slowly. The handwriting was his. Younger, messier, more alive somehow. Only 2 lines. He read them once, then again. You do not have to hate your life to want another one. He stopped breathing for a moment, because that was the sentence he had needed back then, and maybe the sentence he still needed now. He had spent years trying to prove his life was not bad enough to leave. The job was fine, the apartment was fine, the people were fine, the routine was fine, everything was fine. And that was how he had trapped himself, because fine can become a quiet prison when it asks you to abandon the part of you that still wants to live. He sat there for a long time, holding the note. The suitcase stayed open. The room stayed quiet. Outside, life continued like nothing had happened. A dog barked somewhere. A car passed by. Someone closed a door. Ordinary sounds. The kind of sounds that had filled his life, while another version of him waited in the dark. He looked at the ticket again. Portland, 7 years ago. He knew he could not go back to that morning. That bus was gone. That apartment was gone. That exact version of him was gone too. But maybe that was not the point. Maybe the suitcase was not asking him to leave everything. Maybe it was asking him to stop abandoning himself. So he reached inside and took out one shirt, then the book, then the map, then the note. He placed them on the floor, one by one, like evidence. Proof that he had wanted more. Proof that wanting more had never made him ungrateful. Then he looked at the empty suitcase, and for the first time in 7 years, and he did not close it. The next morning, he left the suitcase opened on the bedroom floor. Before work, he folded the old note and placed it in his jacket pocket, not as a plan, just as a reminder that the life he almost chose was not asking him to run away. It was asking him to come back to himself.